violence and effort. Those two things will never, ever, ever change for us. Violence and effort, violence and effort. Now, the technique part of it, like this hand placement here, this step, this footwork, that stuff is all nuanced things that you add into the game that you're talking about. But when you're down in that area, in the trenches down there, some of that stuff kind of goes out the window, especially if you play with violence and effort.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Dallas Cowboys may actually be cooking up a super staff. Let's get right into it. They've made 3 new hirings to Brian Schottenheimer's coaching staff. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content. All right, you can see here, John Machota reports the Dallas Cowboys have hired the following assistant coaches: linebackers Dave Borganzi, defensive line Aaron Whitecotton, and defensive passing game coordinator Andre Curtis. Now, the beauty of all of these guys that actually just got hired is, man, these are some damn good hires. Aaron Whitecotton, specifically, as far as just pedigree, resume, what these guys have actually put on paper. Aaron Whitecotton, he's developed Bryce Huff, Jermaine Johnson, and Will McDonald. And he worked under Robert Saleh in San Francisco and with the New York Jets. He's had a top 12 in pressure percentage and top 7 in sacks every year with the Jets. All right, so this guy has specifically worked with the Jets defensive line. And again, think about the Jets defensive line. Think about the guys that are on that Jets defensive line. And anytime you have watched the New York Jets, their defensive line is probably the strongest aspect of that team as a whole. So getting one of the coaches that worked with that defensive line, especially a coach that's going to give you that type of quote that I showed prior to this show, oh, I'm all for hiring an Aaron Whitecotton. This was an absolutely great hire for Brian Schottenheimer as far as just shooting fish in the barrel, because essentially that's what all of this is right now, y'all. We really don't know the final verdict on how good these coaches are and all that other stuff. We really don't know. That's the truth, is we actually have no clue how these guys are going to turn out. We actually have no clue how good these guys are actually going to be, but what we do know is Aaron Whitecotton has a good resume, and all we can go off of is based off of these guys' resumes and who they've worked with. It doesn't make sense to hire for the Dallas Cowboys. So I really like the Aaron Whitecotton hire. To me, like Foots the King said, that is an A+ hire, especially if you're just going strictly based off of his resume and the temperament that he said himself he wants to bring. Now, Dave Borganzi, the linebackers coach with the Chicago Bears, he's also someone who's going to be coming to the Cowboys. And again, this to me further emphasizes the fact that Matt Eberflus's defense is going to showcase the linebackers more than anything. The linebackers are what this team is being built around. I don't think the Cowboys look at their corners as the strength of that defense anymore. I think they look at that linebacking core and they say that's where their future of their defense is, with a DeMarvion Overshown, with a Maris Leofau, with a Micah Parsons, with some of these other guys that's in that position group, even if it's a defensive end that can sometimes drop back into cover, whatever it may be. Having guys like a Dave Borganzi that worked with a Shaquille Leonard while he was with the Indianapolis Colts. He mentored Shaquille Leonard into an all-pro season and in one of his most productive players at his position in the NFL the year he was working with him in Indianapolis. So he is also another really good pickup. Another one of his strong contributions was to Bobby Okereke. In his 3rd season with Borgonzi's linebackers unit in 2021, Okereke registered a career high 130 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 interceptions, 4 passes defense, and 1 sack for -9 yards. In 2019, the Colts finished 7th in the league after allowing 97.9 rushing yards per game. So Dave Borganzi is a guy that the teams that he has worked for, the Bears, the Indianapolis Colts, some of these other squads, those units, those are really, really strong run defense units. And that seems like to be the focus for Brian Schottenheimer. He's identified the weakness on this team as it being the run defense and the offense and how the offense is operating. And he's making moves to supplement that. So that has to be exciting for Cowboys fans. And the last guy we hired was Andre Curtis as our passing game coordinator. He's essentially going to be taking the spot of an Al Harris. And Andre Curtis is somebody that has a ton of NFL experience. All right, so another one of these guys, well-respected around the league, has worked with guys like a Jermaine Johnson and a Jaquan Brisker and all-pro free safety Eddie Jackson. He has those type of guys on his resume. So the Cowboys essentially just hired 3 separate positional or assistant coaches that all have really, really good resumes. So as Cowboys fans, if we're just looking at the moves being made today and we're not tempering how we're looking at these moves with the weight of the 30 years that we haven't been to an NFC Championship game. We're not tempering these moves with discussing Jimmy Johnson being let go by Jerry. If we're just looking at these moves in a vacuum for what they are, take the star away. If we're looking at these moves and you're any other organization, you really, really like all of these moves that the Cowboys made as far as their position coaches go. And I'm going to tell you something else. Have you noticed that none of these coaches that are coming to the Cowboys or have been hired so far, none of these guys are people that have already worked with the Cowboys. All these assistant coaches and stuff, these are not Cowboy system people. These are not just promoting guys that were already here into higher positions. Brian Schottenheimer is being allowed to go and build his own staff. All of these people he's hiring are people that he's worked with in the past to some degree, and that shows me. That right there shows me this is Brian Schottenheimer building his staff. So for the narrative that, Jerry builds the staff, and man, that's one narrative that's already kind of getting turned on his side right now because Jerry is allowing Brian Schottenheimer to build his staff. And to address another narrative that's kind of getting turned on his side right now, hey man, the Cowboys are actually building their staff and filling their staff out pretty much faster than anybody else. Not named the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears may have filled up some of their spots, but I think they're still looking for coaches as well. So the Cowboys have actually got to jump on things. They were 7th team to fill their head coaching spot, but they actually are further along in filling their staff out than pretty much all the other teams that had already hired their head coach prior to the Cowboys making their decision. So even there, Brian Schottenheimer is honestly still getting the cream of the crop as far as people he wants to pick from, right? And people he probably would have picked from in the first place. So it really didn't end up hurting us all that much that they took so much time making the decision about Brian Schottenheimer. And I know I did the air quotes, and I only put the air quotes because now we're seeing how ridiculous that narrative was, because it really isn't affecting anything. It really isn't impacting anything as far as them taking a few days longer than what we would have liked for them to make a decision on Mike McCarthy. It really isn't impacting anything. So that's why I did the air quotes right there. Don't Stephen Jones me. I know how much air quotes trigger you people. Relax, okay? But I think I would be remiss to say, hey man, the Joneses, they're letting Brian Schottenheimer build his staff, and they're making moves with this staff quickly. And they made moves with Will McClay's contract quickly. They didn't wait until it actually was about to expire when we got closer to the draft or anything. They did it right now as soon as the offseason started. So we got to be able to take our emotions out of it and recognize when things are being done in a slightly different manner. I'm not telling you to sip no Kool-Aid. I'm not telling you everything is perfect and rainbows and buttercups. I am telling you, objectively looking at each individual move in a vacuum, I like what we're doing so far. And I think Brian Schottenheimer's building a damn good coaching staff. And we stick. Same old Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.